Where are my Spark drivers at? Let me show you inside my Spark profit tracker. So as you can see, this is my Spark driver profit tracker. It has the tax year 2026, IRS mileage rate of 0.725 cents per mile, federal tax rate of 12%, state tax 5%, self-employment tax rate of 15.3%, married filing jointly, or you can switch this to single and it will update all of the formulas, your estimated annual gross income, and your max tip deduction. It also has a deduction method, which is the standard mileage rate, or you could do the actual vehicle expense. I recommend standard mileage because that makes the best deduction for you. Friday the 20th of March was my first day delivering, and I'm going to show you how I keep track of what I've earned and how I can use that for my taxes. So in the year-to-date summary, you have your gross earnings. I have made $1,443.52. My total tips has been $502.50. My total expenses, this is just my gas mileage and a few other expenses that I'll show you later. So $1,080.38 was my total expenses. So my net profit was $363.14. Effective hourly rate was $22.91. Total deliveries has been 51. Miles driven, 1,222. Thanks for living in the country. And mileage deduction was $886.15. Now my total deduction for expenses was $1,080.38. That doesn't mean I spent that. Most of that is the mileage that I am tracking that is a deduction that I get to use at the end of the year for my taxes. Next section is no tax on tips deduction. Phase out for married filing jointly is $300,000. Phase out reduction is 0 right now. Adjusted max deduction is $25,000. My qualified deduction is $363.14, and my savings so far is $61.73. So now we have the quarterly estimated tax payments. You do not have to do this if you make less than $1,000 in the year, but if you make more than $1,000, it is a good practice to go ahead and pay it quarterly on the due dates. So for January to March, which is Q1, it's due April 15th. My taxable income was $363.14, so what I will owe is $101.86. We have the monthly earning breakdown. I didn't work January or February, but March I made $1,443.52. My tips was $502.50. Expenses was $1,080.38. Then my net profit was $363.14. The deliveries, this is actually by the days that you delivered. 2 of these days I didn't actually deliver. I was just making my tips. And then my average delivery was $120.29 based off of all of the money that I've made so far on all the deliveries. Now let me show you how I use the earnings log, mileage log, and the expense tracker. Earnings log, this is the date that I delivered, how many deliveries I did in that date, the base pay that I made on that date. So you see I have 0 here for the days I did not deliver. The tips that I made on those days, the tips are paid 24 hours after delivery. So the tips are offset by a day. The bonuses, total earnings, and the hours that I worked. So for the mileage tracker, we're going to have the date we delivered. I always put deliveries as a trip description, the miles that you drove, and then it does the deduction based on that 0.725 deduction, and it calculates all that. Let me clarify here. You can only take standard mileage or your actual vehicle expenses. So the actual vehicle expenses would be like the gas that you put into your car, that was used for business miles, things like that. You can only choose one or the other. I choose to use standard deduction of the mileage because that is the easiest thing to track and it typically pays better. But let me show you how to calculate your expenses. Now, for business expenses, you have the date the expense occurred, the category. You'll notice I do have gas and fuel on here because this is a profit tracker, but I set this up to where it does not calculate these if you use the standard deduction. So you'll see here are all the different categories you can use. You put the vendor description, any notes you want to add, and then the amount of that purchase. So this will calculate all of this. So for instance, on my first page, it only calculates the things that are not gas and fuel towards my actual expenses. This last sheet goes through how to use this entire spreadsheet. It has everything step by step to make it super simple for you to use. This spreadsheet has been a lifesaver for me. It keeps up with everything that I need to keep up with, and I just hand it to my CPA at the end of the year, and it's super simple. If you want to get yours, you can go to my profile, click on the button, and it'll take you straight to it.